everything's so loud? Live from an ESG-themed cruise, to Omaha, Nebraska. Beautiful, beautiful.
Land cruise?
It's an all-new, terrific Tuesday edition of Business Pants, joined by analyst whole Matt Moscardi. Whoa, how did we got Matt on the show? Wow.
Look, I moved some things around, but I make this happen for your fans.
On today's wet wool sock called December 10th, 2024, more about the NEO murder. Sorry, we got to talk about it.
No.
And the 100 most powerful people in business.
Yeah, that's right. We're a little slow to this story that list that broke.
Well, we don't usually cover lists, but you really wanted to cover this list, so I okayed it.
I just like that, look, we're in a new era. We're in an era where we care about who runs companies.
Oh, because of the murder in New York City?
Because of the murder in New York City.
Oh my God, this is already a dark turn.
We've got people talking about who runs companies. People who run companies are terrified, right?
Yeah.
Like that they run a company now.
They should be terrified anyway. Yeah.
And this is like a month and a half after Fortune put out the 100 most powerful people in the world. And it's like a list of people. And it's fascinating to me how many of them you could name. I'm fascinated by it. So
we'll get to that in the second half of the show.
Yeah,
we got a lot to talk about. Let's just get it out of the way. Let's get the necessary out of the way.
This music seems inappropriate for what we're about to talk about.
Well, right before the show, you pointed out, hey, we're not even covering, that Rupert Murdoch lost his succession case in Nevada court. But I was like, yeah, okay, fine. We'll cover all that on Friday. But I mean, we kind of have to spend time on this horrible story, right? I mean, we have to. This is all that anyone's talking about anyway. So, and I don't really know what we can add here because again, this is one of the rare stories where all my dopey friends are already texting me about this. So there are very few crossovers. I can't remember the last one where my friends were jumping on it too, but there are very few crossovers or topics on our show that my friends are also interested in.
NEOs,
which explains our horrible audience.
If you don't know what an NEO is, it's a named executive officer. They're one of the 4 people who's not the CEO listed in financial filings. Well, so that's what your friends are into, right?
It's funny. I mean, even after all this, because our company here, if nothing else, is striving to make known the names of the people who run the biggest companies in the world, the oligarchy that controls our planet. But even now, I'm realizing, even with this story, the murder of this executive from United Health, even now, the murderer is more famous than the executive who got killed.
That's true.
Right?
Or the executive who actually runs United Healthcare Group.
Okay, well,
the CEO.
Then let's start with the quiz. Without looking at the document, do you remember the name of the guy who was murdered? Do you remember his name, Matt?
Yeah, Brian Thompson.
Okay,
that one's it's everywhere.
I had to pencil it down. No, because in my head I keep thinking United Healthcare CEO, not United Health Group, but
here's a pop quiz for you. Name one person who's not Andrew Whitty, the CEO of United Healthcare Group.
Oh, I already forgot.
Who's on the board of United Healthcare.
I already forgot, but my brain is losing it these days. But I do know that the former CFO of Arthur Anderson, he is and the former CEO at United Health Group. He is currently still on the board.
There's one that's
I can't remember his name, of
Helmsley.
course. I can't remember his name.
I think his name is Stephen Helmsley. And I think that guy used to be he's an executive chair, used to be the CEO of United Health. Also on the board, F. William McNabb III, who used to be the CEO and executive chair at Vanguard.
Oh.
This is like all of our world right in one. You know who else is on this board? Charlie Baker, who was the governor of Massachusetts, but also the head of the NCAA. Can we fuse everything we talk about here? Sports, massive passive investors who only side with management, executives who no one knows the name of. It's all there. It's all right there.
Well, it's all right there for a lot of the companies we cover now.
It's just in the headlines right now. So
how about the fact that United Health itself had another CEO, William McGuire, who left the companies after settling with the SEC over backdating stock options. I mean, this company is constantly involved with shenanigans. But look, it's not really the point here. Or maybe it is the point.
You would backdate stock options if you were busy insider trading and like dumping your stock at highs that you manipulate by denying people claims so that your loss ratio looks better. Like, it's all part of the same game. Okay, it's the same con.
Then let's start with it then. And we'll start with the guy they're covering because he was arrested yesterday, Luigi Mangione. Luigi Mangione.
Come on, you're being an Italian.
Mangione, that's Chuck Mangione, the trumpet
Luigi
player.
Mangione.
Right? The trumpet player, Chuck Mangione. Anyway, I'm going to go quickly over this. You stop me if you want to talk any of it, speak about any of it, because I don't know if I care really about this guy so much. But he attended elite schools. Do you care about that? Penn? He went to Penn? You care?
Look,
he went to an elite all-boys prep school? Do you care? Valedictorian?
You gotta be impressed by the valedictorians. I mean, occasionally they come out and they get famous.
Comes from a wealthy and influential Baltimore family that owns 2 country clubs. You care about that?
Not so much.
How about this one? He was arrested at McDonald's.
There you go.
Another company that we cover all the time.
Everything happens at McDonald's. The question is, did he get E. coli on his way through?
And he also was found to have a handwritten manifesto. Although, what is a manifesto? How do we define a manifesto? I don't even know. And this thing is 3 pages. That's not a manifesto.
That's not like a manifesto.
That's a letter to your ex-girlfriend. That's what that is. But part of that quote-unquote manifesto, a part of it was, they say, according to the New York Times, it was taking aim at the healthcare industry for prioritizing profits over patient care.
Yeah, well, look. At least his manifesto is true. They do that, don't they?
Well, I will say this. Even from the Economic Times, which is a newspaper in India, which covers the business world, even they said, talking about United Healthcare, that they delivered profits of a whopping $16.4 billion last year. They said whopping. Even they did. A business paper was like, that seems a little much for a U.S. health.
Tone it down,
right?
Come on, guys. Yeah.
All right, so that's it about Luigi. Do you want to talk any more about Luigi, or should I just jump into the United Healthcare stories?
Where does everyone find the time to write manifestos? Like
it's 3 pages, Matt.
That's true. That's not a manifesto. But why is there always a manifesto?
And plus, he took a bus out of Port Authority. I mean, he had a bus.
I guess he had a lot of time on the bus to write. Yeah.
I'll start with some of the reactions. CEO killed. These are headlines. CEO killing rage over insurance plunges United Healthcare into crisis. This is from Bloomberg. So they're saying that Brian Thompson's death has become a symbol of revenge over denied medical bills and lack of access to necessary care, an issue that United Health employees say they're growing increasingly anxious about. So, go ahead.
Well, I think the headline's a little misleading. First of all, not the CEO of a division.
No, this is the point that we're never going to get over.
It drives me nuts.
And you do see a lot of outlets getting this wrong. Sometimes they get it right. Sometimes they say United Healthcare CEO, which is true. It's a division of United Health Group, but then sometimes they just say United Health CEO, that's misleading. That's not who he was.
Could you just say United Health Executive? Like that? That would be true no matter what you write, right?
Isn't this the craziest irony of our company that in
like this is
the
what
most horrible
with?
Story of our time? No, but that in the most horrible story of our time here. People still can't get all the information correct. They still can't identify people in the right way.
So already the first word in the headline is already misleading to me. But
CEO of a division, technically it's not incorrect.
Okay. Let's say
laughing.
We'll agree to disagree. The second word, the CEO killing, rage over insurance plunges United Health into crisis. Yep. The killing did not plunge it into crisis. Let's be clear. We covered this on Friday. We talked about how the stock was up the day he was shot. The day he was shot, it was up 1%. It was Investor Day. Yeah. They were, they had been talking about, the Advance showed good profits, right? The stock was up that day. What did plunge it into crisis was the fact that After he was killed, on social media, people unloaded. No one expected that. And today...
Well, okay. Yeah. Keep going.
The stock is down 8.5%. 8.5% because of the rage, not the killing.
Well, it's funny you say that because since you made that note, it's actually up. It's gone back up. So it's actually up today at 1%.
Well, just today. I'm talking about in the 5 days.
Got it.
In the period.
Let me speak to that this was, they didn't see this coming. This is an interesting part of this Bloomberg article. The actual CEO of United Health Group is a man named Andrew Whitty. He's a British man.
There we go. That's him.
He said in a video to staff, attempting to address all this rage that's going on social media, he said, quote, "As you've seen, people are writing things we simply don't recognize, are aggressive, inappropriate, and disrespectful." He said there's no value in engaging. So he's saying that, we don't recognize this hate. We don't know what this is. This is crazy. Don't engage. But Bloomberg also reported that at that investor event that you were talking about, before it got, before they ended it, when they learned of Brian Thompson's murder, he said this. He said he was acknowledging widespread dissatisfaction with his industry. Quote, "You only have to walk into a room with 5 people to hear 4 stories of frustration. I couldn't find a doctor. I didn't know where to go. It's too difficult to understand," he said in a room full of analysts and investors. He was already addressing the rage at his industry, and now he's saying, where's this coming from? I don't know what this is.
This is why the rage
Duplicitous.
Exists. They 100% know what they're doing.
They were talking about it at the very event at which he was murdered.
The dissatisfaction and frustration is their source of profit. It's not actually different, if you think about it, from Facebook, Meta, X, Twitter.
Why is it their source of profit?
Because the way that you make the money is for people to be angry, right? Like you need emotional responses. The way United Health makes money is if you're too frustrated to go through the process of fighting a claim that they denied, right? Like if they make it impossible for you and you quit. On social media, they want your anger so that you keep going. Like it foments more anger and you keep posting and you can't get out of your bubble. But they're all leveraging an emotional response in order to profit. And they 100% do it on purpose. They make it labyrinthine. Like my wife is a doctor and she has no idea. The insurance companies are horrible, she said. Yeah. Like they are the ones deciding largely what gets covered, how, by the way they make you code it. Like she wants to go in and do a surgery. That's it. She wants to fix something. But she has to know 73 different codes that the insurer will or won't cover, whether or not what the hospital codes are. The whole system is fucked. And it's on purpose. Of
course. Well, if you're getting $16 billion in profit and an NEO, a named executive officer, is not even the CEO, is walking away with $10 million annually, then yeah, you're probably right. I mean, right?
I mean, we're not saying anything anyone doesn't know. I think this is all probably in the 3-page manifesto, right?
Yeah, but we've already been talking for 4 pages. I got to remind people that let's keep talking about United Healthcare a little bit. This is the same company that was hit by a cyber attack this year. And
that's true.
When the Department of Justice decided to investigate, they wanted to investigate the market dominance of United Healthcare because this cyber attack basically was, it was ruining the lives of a lot of its customers. Brian Thompson decided to sell his $15 million worth of shares right before they announced that investigation. So he learned of the investigation. And then he sold $15 million of shares, and then the company announced. Again, I'm not saying this as an excuse to why he should be killed. But this is these are necessary facts.
Is the rage,
I mean, it's a fact.
Right? This is where the rage comes from.
And it's possible that Luigi knew that. I don't know.
Did you read that in the manifesto?
No.
Was that what he was reading in McDonald's?
I don't know. So let's move on. Other headlines about the case. 1-star McDonald's reviews and sympathetic merch. Companies try to stop online support for CEO killer suspect. So after a McDonald's employee outed Luigi, it got bombed with 1-star reviews on Yelp and Google. And
I mean, funny, but wow.
Yeah, I mean, I'm saying this is the tone. You don't see a single person, other than fellow executives and CEOs who are worried about getting security. You don't really see a single sort of sympathetic message towards this guy. I mean,
look, I'm not
supporting it. I'm just reporting.
I'm not supporting anything that happened. But the fact is that the named executive officers and the CEO of United Health, in the proxy, have $2 million of health insurance coverage. That they work for a health insurance company, so you'd expect that, but no one else does, right?
I would like that.
Everyone else is angry because it's inaccessible to everybody, and we all know it. And I did see a T-shirt, when I'm trying to keep up to date with the story, I did try to get sold a T-shirt with a picture of Luigi from Luigi and Mario holding dressed like the killer.
Oh, that's just
holding a gun.
That's just racist toward Italian Americans.
As an Italian American.
Other headlines: Ted Cruz accuses Luigi Mangione of being a leftist despite social media posts. Despite social media posts praising Tucker Carlson and decrying the woke mind virus. So there's Luigi maybe not such a leftist after all.
How come they didn't go elitist? Why did he go leftist? He went to Penn, and he's Ted went
to Harvard. Yeah,
I'm just saying, that's the better angle.
After thousands celebrated United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson's killing, now even top internet sleuths are not willing to help an investigation. Of course, they just found Luigi. So, how about this one? How United Healthcare and other insurers use AI to deny claims. So in October, there was a report from the U.S. Senate that they're investigating how insurers have been using AI-powered tools to deny some claims. So they found that United Healthcare's denial rate for post-acute care, that's where healthcare is needed to transition people out of hospitals and back into their homes, rose to 23% in 2022 from 11% in 2020. And they're saying the reason for that is because of an AI model that they're using called NH Predict.
What is NH?
NH Predict and United Health.
Not help predict?
United Health and Humana are both being sued because of this. According to the lawsuit, United Health against United Health, the claim was that 90% of the algorithm's recommendations are reversed on appeal. So they're claiming there's a 90% error rate from that AI denying claims.
So the interesting part is who makes Navi Health is the group that made NH Predict. And they were acquired in 2020 by United Health Group. So this is not like somebody else's model. It's like their model. They made the model. There's nobody that can be like, this isn't one of those Sam Altman's ChatGPT did it. This is them. This is them doing it. So
other headlines: leaked video shows United Health CEO, and that is Andrew Whitty, defending practices that prevent unnecessary care. According to Value Penguin, a site that helps users compare insurance plans costs, United Health's 32% claims denial rate was twice the industry average. What do you think that's about? Twice the industry average. That one confuses me, surprises me.
Oh, why? They're also the largest, but
why not stay around why not stay a little bit above the industry average? Why be so brazen? I'm just saying, why be so brazen about this?
Because until an executive got killed, no one was writing these stories. Well, was one of these headlines out there really?
This was the question I was going to ask you. Will this have any kind of effect over the insurance industry? Do you believe it?
Yeah, everyone in the insurance industry will, in the proxy statements, they will just give a name and they won't even give a gender or an age.
Okay.
To the board members, they're going to have security guards, literally in a circle around them everywhere they go. That's what's going to happen.
Well, let me skip to my last headlines then. There's a bunch of stuff on disclosure. CVS, Anthem, and other big corporations remove executive photos from their websites. Centene is going to hold a virtual meeting because of this. There's just a bunch of headlines about pulling info online. I don't know what that's supposed to solve.
No, what that means, what that means to me is that the companies that would do that have been screwing you or feel like you think they've been screwing you.
Yeah.
Like, let's say the executives at CVS have not been trying to screw you, but you've been getting screwed somehow by CVS, like the opioid crisis, right? They're terrified now of what they've been doing. What it makes the case for is the desperate need for accountability in capital markets.
Of course.
Because clearly there has been none. Some like vigilante asshole assassin went out of his way to kill one of you in a corporate executive suite. Now, rather than sort of like go out there and say, we need to be better, we need to improve, we can't deny at twice the rate of our average,
the rate,
we can't
which is
sell
already high.
opioids to everybody. What they're doing is the same thing they did with DEI when Robbie Starbuck called them. They are fucking hiding. Yeah. It is pure cowardice across the board.
And here's the evidence to support that. The other headlines I pulled are all about security, basically saying how executive security is going to change moving forward, how they're going to, of course, add a bunch of security. Even if the executives don't want it, the investors and board members might enforce it. So you're right. They're just basically going to hide behind bodyguards.
I mean, we talk about this every single year. When Zuckerberg puts out his proxy statement, he has the highest security costs anywhere because he's got like 73 mansions. He owns an island.
$24 million annually, I think.
More than $20 million for one guy to protect him, which is like, that's how much it costs to protect the president of the United States for the most part. Like, it's an insane amount of money.
The only people in our culture who need security are people like Taylor Swift. That's it. You know what I mean? Like these huge pop stars where you have fans. If you're in a business where you're worried about people coming after you because you know they're upset at you, then there's something wrong.
But isn't that the tacit recognition that,
of course,
like that you've been doing something that can rile someone up so much that they might take a shot at you?
It also
Taylor Swift is one thing. You have like obsessives and you have like stalker fans and stuff like that. And you have like the John Lennon problem, right? Like somebody who gets obsessed with you that has nothing to do necessarily with what you are doing, right? Like you're making music. It doesn't have to do with something else. But Mark Zuckerberg does not have like fans standing outside screaming for him and stalking him. The people who would be obsessed with Mark Zuckerberg are people who are like, you ruined my life. Like you made me depressed. And made me like.
And doesn't this sort of define the fact that we are living in an oligarchy when these people need to be protected like this? When you have so few people basically controlling your society and need protection from the members of its society that are your customers and stakeholders, it sort of does suggest something that's happening.
That's 100% true. I think that's exactly
which is a perfect segue to Fortune magazine's I don't know what you'd call it, article, special report, research.
It's their listicle
called the 100 most powerful people in business. Available
Let's do it.
online.
Let's play us in.
I don't know how you want to do this.
All right, here's how I want to do it.
I have 10 interesting takeaways that are going to be far more interesting than anything that you are going to present. But I'm going to let you run with this. I'm going to let you go with this.
So I'm going to let you start after I just
bore
give you
the
what
audience.
The list is. Okay.
Yeah.
So the way to bore you first is to say that this is the 100 most powerful people in business put out by Fortune magazine. They
not
put
just
it out
U.S. across the world.
It's global. It was put out for 2024, so it's supposed to represent this year. So it's like a bit evergreen. The methodology for this, how they determine who is the most powerful person in business, is basically a 6-part methodology.
Yeah.
It does not seem like there's a tremendous amount of numbers around this.
We'll come back to the methodology seems a little bit like bullshit, but go ahead.
But here are the main points.
Yeah.
Is the business big?
Okay, so maybe nobody from Free Float.
And the person has to run it, right?
Okay.
Like
no, that's not true, is it?
It says the size of the business the person runs.
But a lot of these people on this list don't currently run anything.
That's correct. So they're a little bit flimsy with the way they apply their own methodology. Right. The health of the business, which is measured by 12-month liquidity, operational efficiency, and solvency. Basically,
you got a CEO there who just took over for a company that declared bankruptcy this year, a few months ago, Red Lobster.
You have a CEO on this list that just left his company because it got fired because he was doing a horrible job.
Right? About Carlos Tavares, right, of Stellantis, I'm guessing.
So, they're a little bit waffly on these things. And then they have one they called innovation.
Well, okay, that could be anything, yeah.
Has the person accomplished something nobody else has and that competitors follow?
Again, I call bullshit on this because you have multiple people from the same entity, Matt. You have at least 3 people from Alphabet. You have at least 2 people from Amazon. You have 2 people from Oracle. I mean, the list goes on.
Let's say Amazon and Oracle have done interesting things, but can we really claim that Mary Barra at GM and
you have 3 people from Netflix? You have 3 people from America's greatest drug company, Netflix. What are they innovating? That you stay longer on your couch?
That is an innovation.
Sure.
It is an innovation.
Okay.
The last 3 components here are influence, which
that's they don't
what we have a measurement
here.
of.
We do.
Freeflowanalytics.com. Go to there, you can get a measurement of it.
Yeah.
But for this, it just says
I don't know
how greatly do their words and actions shape the behavior of others. There's no,
and this one is beguiling because, as I'll point out, with their choice for the only black man on the list, I'm going to argue with their definition of things like size of the business and influence. But go ahead.
Yeah. Well, I'm guessing all influence is number of followers on social media. That's all. That's all my guess for what that number would be.
Fine.
Trajectory. Where is this person in the arc of their career?
Are they young? Is that what it means? Because Warren Buffett's in the top 10. No,
because Warren Buffett's on the list.
He's 400 years old, yeah. So is Rupert Murdoch,
Gates is on the list.
who is literally in court trying to decide who's going to get his empire after he dies. So that's,
like tomorrow when he dies. So it's not exactly like they're not saying they have to be at a place in their career, just on an arc, apparently.
Sure.
And then finally, impact. And this is the one that really got me. Is this person using their power to make the world a better place?
Oh, stop. I didn't realize
I'm telling you, that's what they wrote.
Well, that's
silly. A quote of what they wrote, okay? And when you see the list...
Who on this list is making just start glancing on it. Is there anyone on this list trying to make the world a better place?
I can make the case that like one
Spotify,
or two of them...
Uber? What are you talking about, Matt? Disney? What is? I don't understand your definition of better place.
I'm going to give you the top 10 just by name first, and then you can take it over with your observations.
Okay.
And then I'm going to come back with some stats.
My very astute observations.
Number 10, Sundar Pichai, the CEO of Alphabet, is number 10. Now, they don't say that like Sundar Pichai, who's number 10, he somehow ranks higher than Sergey Brin and Larry Page, who actually own voting control of Alphabet.
I was going to say that is one of my observations, but go ahead.
Okay. Mary Barra, number 9.
She's one of my observations, too, I'll get to later.
And number 8,
Mary
Sam
Barra,
Altman.
The CEO and chair
of GM.
Of GM. I mean, that's GM. Random, no? I mean...
Also, a big player on the Business Roundtable.
Sure. Let's be fair. A lot of these CEOs are big players in the Business Roundtable.
In the top 10, not as much. Sam Altman, CEO
we talk about
OpenAI.
Sam all the time. This one I agree with, yeah.
Mark Zuckerberg, number 7.
Of course. I don't know how he's so low, but of course he's in the top 10.
I mean, he has voting control over his company. It's a private company, effectively.
Let's remind people. He owns Facebook, WhatsApp, Instagram. What else? I'm probably forgetting something. But those 3...
How can you forget the metaverse?
I mean, I'm just saying, like, he basically controls the world. I mean, with
those
3 apps.
Yeah, a lot of what you see. Tim Cook's number 6.
I don't really get
CEO
that.
of Apple. Also on the board of Nike.
Makes phones. I don't really care about that.
Number 5 is Jamie Dimon.
I guess that makes sense.
Premier financier.
You got to have a banker on there, I suppose. Yeah.
Number 4 is Warren Buffett.
That's just silly to me. He's 4,000 years old.
Number 3 is Satya Nadella.
His CEO, Greg Abel,
yeah,
right? He's also on this list. So
also
you have two.
On the list. But Greg Abel doesn't own the dual class shares that Warren Buffett owns. So
and that his kids will own, who are on the board. Yeah.
Yes. Number 3, Satya Nadella, the CEO of Microsoft.
Okay, I don't really understand that one.
Number 2 is Jensen Huang, the CEO of NVIDIA.
Of course. You hear about him
and
all
number
the time.
1 is Elon Musk.
Of course, for some reason.
The CEO of 17 companies with which no one has any control over.
He certainly has an incredible amount of influence, I will agree. The other stuff, I don't really know like why anybody cares, but maybe he'll get to Mars one day and he'll prove me wrong, yeah.
Yeah, no, let's hope for that, and he stays there. Why don't you do
okay,
your
here are my
observations
astute observations. Yeah. First of all, Matt, at number 51, they couldn't have predicted this. Is who? At number 51, the actual CEO at United Health.
Yeah,
Andrew
Whitty. That's right. Andrew Whitty, the CEO of United Health, on this list.
And here's one of the comments from his bio from Fortune magazine. The company has been in the spotlight this year after suffering a major cyber attack, and Whitty testified before Congress that data from quote unquote maybe 1/3 of Americans was stolen.
Oh, maybe.
So with all that profit, it's just $16 billion alone this year, Matt. They still couldn't build a cybersecurity worthy enough to protect their users' data. And they don't even know how much data was stolen. They still couldn't manage to protect our data.
They do have a cybersecurity expert they added to the board, though, so it's fine. It's all taken care of now.
And not to belabor I'm a horrible joke, although there wasn't a joke to belabor, but Brian Thompson not on this list, but that doesn't really matter.
Oh,
right?
Come on.
Just saying.
Too soon.
Okay, my other observations. So there are 17.5 women on this list. I say 0.5 because some of these positions, I'll get to this later, some of these positions are actually shared. Like the co-CEOs of Netflix is at number 41, which I'll get to that later. Does that strike you as being high or low? We know that less than 10% of Fortune 500 CEOs are women. So does that strike you that 17.5 women on this list, is that high or low to you?
Look, if I'm just going with the meritocracy, and that is that men should have all the positions, then that's incredibly high.
And let's get to Mary Barra. I'm sorry. I'm not usually the one to push DEI conspiracy theories, but you got Mary Barra at number 9 on this list. I'm convinced that the writers of this list decided at the last second that we absolutely need to have a woman in the top 10, and it can't be at number 10 because that looks like tokenism. But I'm sorry, but they have Mary Barra ahead of Jeff Bezos. Explain that one to me, Matt. How is that possible? In what universe?
Why you don't think like GM trucks are more important than the largest retailer and or data storage and or entertainment company on
Matt,
Earth?
Amazon is so important that Fortune magazine has put 2 people in the top 26. Andy Jassy is at number 26. Bezos, we have learned over the last few weeks, is still at Amazon as the executive chair and is coming back to basically run their AI. He said. So I don't look. I don't know. That's it. I'll move on from Mary Barra. I just don't really understand her placement in the top 10.
I do think it's worth pointing out there is a lot of executive chairship in the top 100, and the interesting part about that with Bezos, for instance, right? The interesting part about that is if you're the executive chair, you don't have to do the day-to-day. You just get all the money. That's the best part, isn't it?
And typically they are probably founders and former CEOs, right?
Right, exactly.
Okay,
but then you've got a problem, right? Because this list puts on Andy Jassy and Jeff Bezos. It puts on Sundar Pichai and Sergey Brin and Larry Page.
Yep.
It basically you have Larry Ellison
Bill
and
Gates,
Safra Katz.
Bill Gates and Satya Nadella, yeah.
Like you effectively have the founder who made all the money, founded the company on the top 100 list, but they can't say the CEO isn't powerful because they're running the company right now. So then like when you populate 10% of the list with a founder and their underling, really? That's what we're doing?
Well, let's get to that. That's actually one of my observations. I had that they actually have current CEOs being more powerful than their founders. So as you pointed out, Nadella is at number 3, but Gates is at 22. Pichai is at number 10, but Sergey Brin and Larry Page are at 33. Safra Katz somehow is number 35, and Larry Ellison is 72. I don't understand any of this. Like what? Larry Ellison is so powerful that not only does he control over 60% of board influence, according to our data, he's still the chair at Oracle. And his son, even his son, is so powerful that he just bought Paramount, where he will become CEO and chair. And somehow he's less powerful than Safra Catz, the woman that he put into the CEO role. I don't understand. Explain this one to me, Matt.
I don't think there's explaining it. I mean, like, I feel like somebody sat in a dark basement and just said, hey, who do you know? Like, everybody knows Bill Gates. He's got to be on the list. Who actually runs the company, Microsoft, now? Does anybody know? Oh, we can't put Bill Gates above the guy who currently runs the company. Let's just move him around such that, right?
Well, yeah, and I will say this: I did have one of my observations was absolutely incredulous that Satya Nadella is considered more powerful than Mark Zuckerberg, because forget this, the empire of Facebook and Meta. I mean, certainly yes, Microsoft also has a pretty impressive empire, but Matt, Mark Zuckerberg controls every corner of that empire. And not only that, but he's young. I mean, his trajectory is still young. He controls all of it. Nadella controls barely any of it. I mean, he has his ownership, his voting power, his influence. It's all very low. I really don't fathom that as a choice. Absolutely.
Well, I don't think they were working from a data set more than what the 4 reporters sitting in the room were thinking about, right?
But they must know that Mark Zuckerberg literally controls every corner of that empire.
I'm not sure that people really do. You know, I think they do. They like Fortune does, right?
They must.
But not on the list, for instance. Or I'm sorry, number 36 on the list is Lisa Su. Uh-huh. Lisa Su is the cousin, CEO and founder of AMD, right?
She's the cousin of Jensen Huang, no?
Right, cousin of Jensen Huang. You could easily make the case that she belongs above Mary Barra if you actually paid attention to who these people are. But we know Mary Barra because Mary Barra is the CEO of a classic American company, and she's very well connected and all that stuff. Not to take away from her, but number 9, right? Like number 9.
Cars.
You could, in the top 10.
Cars, Matt. Cars.
In the top 10, you could take out Satya Nadella, Sundar Pichai easily. Warren Buffett at this point, right?
That's silly. That's silly.
Like, it's just silly to have him in the top 10. And then you'd have 3 or 4 slots. It's hard to argue with the other ones, but you'd have 3 or 4 slots up there for people that belong up there because they have a ton of connections and they have a lot of power.
Someone's got to explain to me how Bezos is not in the top 10. It's mind-boggling to me. This is a guy, again, not only like one of the 3 richest men in the world, but also engaged in that space race with Elon Musk. I mean, the whole thing is nuts that he's not in the top. Okay, other observation. One, Matt, they managed to find one black man.
Ooh, whoops.
And I ask you, is it the CEO and chair of Lowe's who sits on the board at FedEx, Marvin Ellison? No, it's not. Is it how about the CEO and chair of Eaton Corporation, which is a $143 billion market cap? That's Craig Arnold, who's also the nomination chair at Medtronic, another company with over $100 billion market cap. Is it Greg Arnold? No, it's not Craig Arnold.
No,
Matt,
of course not.
It's like a 30-year-old dude named Damola Adamalukin who just took over Red Lobster, which is coming out of bankruptcy a few months ago. This guy just became CEO in August. What the hell?
You have no idea.
What the hell? What is happening? Yeah.
Look,
what's he innovating? What's he accomplished?
Like, Red Lobster is basically the minor leagues that get you all the way up to GM. That's how it starts.
Help me.
Red Lobster to GM.
Look, I get that they wanted to put a black man on the list, and I get it. But they clearly didn't do their research if they don't know about Marvin Ellison and Craig Arnold. They didn't do their research.
Well, there's no black women on the. Oh no, there's one.
No, that's
black
not true.
On the
that's
list,
not
right?
true. There are a couple. There's the CEO of TIAA.
Cassandra Duckett. Yeah,
and there Melody Hobson, one of our favorites.
Oh, Melody Hobson. Yeah, that's right. I almost forgot Melody Hobson. And I think that's it, though.
Yeah, because Roz Brewer recently fired, so maybe she would have made the list.
Yeah, Carlos Tavares also fired, but they haven't updated the
okay,
list. So
that's another one of my observations that you've already pointed out a million times are Carlos Tavares, who I had to point this out because of this phrase. The bio said that he is a self-described petrol head whom colleagues view as a samurai laser focused on building competitive car brands.
Oh, first of all, as soon as you get branded with laser focused, I got a whiff of Jeff Sonnenfeld there.
That's why I pointed that out.
It's not good for you. Once you're laser focused, it usually ends badly.
And he's on the list despite the fact that they also pointed out that Stellantis is dealing with a bloated inventory and unpopular price hikes and profits falling. And he was fired. So I don't really get Carlos Tavares.
I guess he was powerful in as much as when he had a job, he had some power in that job. But this list does really like cars, to your point. I didn't really pay that close attention to that, but it is BYD. Cars. It is Tesla. It is GM. It is Stellantis. It is like.
And let's not forget, people. I know for any of you Elon Musk's apologists out there who are like, electric vehicles are good for our planet. I'm going to remind you that no, you're wrong. Electric vehicles might be good for the planet in comparison to a gas-powered car, but if you really want to improve the planet, how about some transportation infrastructure? What are we doing here? Relying on cars is not innovation.
Wait,
even if they're EV cars. But anyway,
if you really want to help the planet, just stay home. Don't go anywhere.
Other observations. How about this one? Well, first of all, nobody from Snap and Reddit, despite the fact that you have Daniel Ek from Spotify. Daniel Ek is as high as number 37, and yet the TikTok founder and ByteDance chair Zhang Yiming is at 92. How is that possible?
Yeah, that one doesn't seem quite right. Although, that's probably because they had to put someone there, but they're also terrified that they're just putting the Chinese state there. And
still.
Okay,
I see what you're saying.
It's not a person, right? It's not a person.
I can appreciate that. Okay, this is another one that gets me. There are a few instances where you're listing co-CEOs. You got Netflix, you got KKR, where you have Scott Nuttall and Joseph Bai. If you're listing co-CEOs, Matt, doesn't that undermine the list? I mean, doesn't that mean that it's the position that's powerful and not the person? Right?
Good point. Yeah, that's 100% correct.
Right? And that's why I think somehow Satya Nadella is above Jeff Bezos, because what they're saying is that the position of the CEO of Microsoft is more important than controlling the Amazon empire, right? I just don't really understand it.
Isn't the executive chair? KKR has co-executive chairs also. It has Henry Kravis and George Roberts, who actually founded KKR.
Both are founders.
Both are founders, right? So they chose, in this case, the co-CEOs who actually are under the co-executive chairs who own the majority of the shares.
Strange.
Themselves.
It's almost as if they don't know what they're doing when they create this list. It's almost as if
no one knows what governance is.
They could at least have reached out to us. And my final observation is that one of the most powerful people in business in the world doesn't even have a picture.
I love this. Yeah. That's my favorite
a man named,
the whole thing.
I'm assuming it's a man.
Yeah,
I think it is a man. Charles Win Mao. He's listed at number 77. He's the CEO and co-founder of a Chinese social media company.
You know what comes up when I search for Charwin Mao?
No.
His picture. That's what comes up. It's not like this guy doesn't have a picture.
Yeah.
It's that they couldn't figure out how to get a single picture of the guy into their thing, I guess. I don't know what that is. Well, I have a question for you. What number was the first number you got to before you didn't know them?
Number 12, that would be, and I still don't know, even though I looked him up and I already forgotten. It's a man named Mukesh Ambani. Who, now that I look him up, he is the chair and managing director of Reliance Industries, a company in India.
Actually, two people in the list are from Reliance Industries.
Is that right?
Yeah, two of them are. I did not know 29 of the 100.
Well, yeah, that's way lower than mine. Mine would have been at least half. I mean, I recognize names. Like for instance, I recognize the name of it doesn't matter. Jonathan Gray, Brian Armstrong, Roloff Botha. I just don't remember where they come from.
Oh, Roloff Botha.
I just don't remember the entity they're associated with. So I considered that I didn't really know who they were.
So here are some things that I noticed. Also. The first thing I noticed actually when going through their bios was how friendly a lot of them are. Adobe, when you look at just the boards, and I'm not talking about like how they know each other from getting Mai Tais in like Bermuda that time, right? Like I'm talking about these are professional relationships at the board level. Adobe has 3 of the top 100 on their board.
Really?
So does JP Morgan.
Really?
So does Disney. Disney is Safra Katz, Mary Barra, and Bob Iger.
Right.
But all of them pale in comparison to Microsoft, who has a total best 4 people.
Is that right?
You have Satya Nadella, Emma Walmsley, Catherine McGregor, and Reid Hoffman.
And you're not even including Bill Gates, who's not on the board anymore.
And I'm not including Bill Gates.
He's on the list too. That's
but
incredible.
He's not currently on the board, right? Like those are people who currently have board positions.
Wow.
Current board positions.
Interesting.
So you're talking about in a list of the 100 most powerful business people on Earth. 5% of them come from one company.
Well, it often considered a monopoly that was worth breaking up back in the 20 years ago. So maybe they were right.
It's definitely worked when they broke it up 20 years ago. It's not still.
There's no more power seeping out of their pores.
Here are some stats for you. I pulled data. Okay.
Oh, I like data.
I want to revisit this list because one of the things that struck me is
we'll make fun of this list another time. I'm sure there's a lot to make fun of here.
When you mentioned like that Mary Barra was in the top 10 because it felt like they had to put a woman in the top 10.
And I'm sorry. I'm sorry I had to say that out loud.
No, you're not. You might not be wrong. It did make
Matt, I'm not wrong. Hey, look, you could make a case easily for someone like Lisa Su in the top 10. That's fine. What's going on?
But that's what it made me do.
Yeah.
It made me want to say, well,
or even Jane Fraser, maybe from Citibank, I could be okay with.
Who should have been in the top 10
Yeah, go ahead.
You use just data. So here's like some of the data that I pulled of this list that I was thinking, I would expect most of these metrics to be the top in the world, right? Like you're going to be on this list. Most of these have to be the top in the world. I pulled average performance metrics so we're only missing 19 people of the 100 in our database at freeflowanalytics.com. You can go there right now. You can look up everybody else, right? Like 19 of them aren't there. And the reason why they're not there is like Sam Altman is at a private company. You have like Charles Koch. He's not in there because he's never been on a public board, right?
Nobody
like his private
anyway.
company.
Yeah.
Paul Singer, James Dyson. These are people who are not. There are a couple of
formerly
quirks.
on boards.
Like Oliver Bloom, who's the CEO of Volkswagen. There's like EU quirks because there's supervisory
Why is he not on the
boards.
Right, he's on the
management board.
Yeah, the management board,
not the supervisory board, which like we don't have in our database. That we don't put them on the
because the
platform.
management board's not voted in by shareholders. That's why we don't
exactly.
Have
so we're only focused on who gets voted in. So there's a couple of quirks in there, but it's only 19 people who aren't on the list. So we have like 81% of the list. It's actually slightly more when you get the doubles in there. So here are the average performance metrics for those people that we do have. For earnings, right? The average of the whole group was actually 464.
A little below average.
The most powerful business people on average are slightly below average at earning money.
Yeah.
According to our metrics.
Sure.
All right. The worst was Roloff Botha at 0.050.
Oof.
It's near the worst you can possibly be. The explanation for that is he's at all like young startup-y companies that lose a lot of money in the first 5 years because apparently you don't need to make money to go public anymore.
Oh, he's a VC guy.
He's a VC guy, right. The best was CC Wei, who I didn't know who that was. He's one of the people I didn't know who it was.
Who was CC Wei?
CC Wei bets 994, and I didn't write down where he was from because it didn't matter to me. Yeah, look it up while I'm talking. But he bats near the absolute best of earnings. Now, he's only on one board in our database, so it's all like that company.
He's the CEO and chair of Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing Company, which makes sense that he's earning a lot of money, yeah?
Yeah. How about carbon intensity? How about do these people actually help the environment relative to their industry peers? Well, the worst in the entire data, the top 100, was Warren Buffett.
Well, okay, but Warren Buffett. Trains and he loves oil and Diet Coke.
0.015. He
loves candy. And
Diet Coke does have a high carbon intensity.
Well, Coke just stepped back in some of their pledges. So
the plastic pledges. That's
but I'm just saying.
They're just throwing that into the ocean. That's different.
Yeah. What else you got? Who's the best in carbon intensity?
The best was Tim Cook. Tim Cook at 0.741.
That surprises me.
Yeah. Well, Nike's actually really good. He's on the board of Nike and Apple's
Forgot about
good
Nike.
too.
Yeah.
So he's got the double. Mm-hmm. How about TSR? The average overall for TSR, 0.518.
We're
talking about average. These people are average at returns.
Yeah.
These are the most powerful, best business people apparently in the world. And the metrics suggest that they are average. They are just average. The worst was Robin Zhang at 0.127.
He is the CEO and chair of Contemporary Amperex Technology, a company I don't know. Supplying electric vehicle batteries.
Yes, they're a battery company.
Mm-hmm.
Second was
build some trains, Robin. How about some trains?
Second was Neil Mohan at 0.178. Neil Mohan is the CEO of YouTube.
Nobody needs.
He sat on the board at 23andMe.
Is YouTube good for humanity, Matt? You think? Does that impact a better place?
Oh,
Making the world a better place?
You're talking about the methodology.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, obviously, because Mohan being on this list, he didn't actually create it, so he's not the innovator. The health of the business is fine. The size of the business is fine. But
this is
Alphabet. The business, right?
It's Alphabet.
It's Alphabet.
Yeah. So it's
trajectory. Where are they at the arc of their career? Well, he's young. He's young, but he's where he is wherever Sergey and Larry tell him to go.
Yeah, and Sundar Pichai.
And Sundar, because he's got three bosses.
Yeah.
And then impact is the only thing that's left. To your point,
I did use it recently to look for. It was reviewing supermarket marinara sauces. I watched a 20-minute video on that, which I actually found fascinating, and I ended up, one of their top choices was Newman's Own marinara sauce, which they loved.
Oh, no, make your own sauce.
So I did buy it, and I did enjoy it. I enjoyed it. Only $3.
Make your own sauce. Just make your own sauce. It takes like 20 minutes to make a.
So you're saying it's not good for humanity that I had to buy sauce?
Well, the last thing I watched, because this is what the segment's devolved into, is a guy from a New Hampshire university walking through the forests of New England, discussing like the topography and the stone walls and how they all it was totally fascinating. Like the best.
That's not the last thing you watched. You're just showing.
I swear that was what I was watching before we got on the show in the background. The best at TSR was Joe Bay at 0.917.
And Bay is from. See, there's a lot of people we don't know. Bay is from, and we're he's one of the co-CEOs at KKR.
Yes.
I mean, just to think that how much time we have dedicated our lives to this. We do multiple podcasts a week. We research this stuff daily, and there's still at least 30% of this list we don't know who they are.
I've never heard of.
Yeah.
And then controversies. There was a 5-way tie for the worst in controversies. It was Darren Woods, Doug McMillan, Sergey Brin, Larry Page, Sundar Pichai. Basically, Google,
Alphabet,
and
Walmart, Exxon.
Walmart and Exxon. Mm-hmm. They got a 0.
Of course.
A 0.
Yeah.
That's the worst you can get.
That sounds about right for those companies.
Directors.
Yeah. You mean so Darren Woods, the guy who just sued his shareholders? Or how about Doug McMillan, the CEO in charge of reversing its stance on DEI?
Yeah.
Despite the fact that 4 years ago, while involved at the Business Roundtable, he said that systemic racism was one of the most nefarious, evil problems in our country, but he's already reversed that. Or how about
it's over?
Or how about Alphabet, which is just pumps out misinformation like it's nobody's business.
Oh yeah, and plus there's an antitrust suit.
Wow, forget about that.
But that's all fine.
Yeah, it does show though that our data is onto something, right? I mean,
the best in the data were mostly people you've never heard of: Tarang Amin, Helen Wong, CC Wei. But there's like a 5-way tie for the best, which is 1,000. They bat 1,000. Simply means the companies that they sit on the boards of haven't had any massive controversies that we know of yet. The interesting part to me was actually the other things, the most interesting things, the influence at the companies where they sit on boards. All right, the highest non-executive influence on a board by one of these powerful people was Mellody Hobson, 20.4% influence at Starbucks.
Is it still that high? Even do we have the updated data now that Brian Nichols CEO?
The updated data, that's what our current data says, right? So
and Howard Schultz is not technically on that board, right? But even though he sits there in an emeritus role,
in an emeritus chair. Yeah. Now that's the catch, right?
Yeah.
So Keith Roops is not technically on the board of Fox anymore, but he does have an emeritus chair himself, which means he's there just doing whatever he wants to do.
It raises an interesting question, Matt. Because we have Brian Nichols at 21, right? He's the new CEO of Starbucks. We have Mellody Hobson. She's not the chair anymore of Starbucks.
She's the lead independent director.
She got demoted. Yeah,
she got demoted.
She's on the Starbucks board. What you don't see is founder Howard Schultz on this list.
Yeah, and nowhere in there.
Yeah.
But the lowest non-executive director for influence on their boards, Catherine McGregor at 0.3% influence at Microsoft. But that wasn't the more interesting one. The more interesting was the second least influential was Mellody Hobson at JP Morgan, 0.9% influence.
Right.
So you have a situation where somebody is very powerful on one board and very not powerful on another board.
Well, look, I would like to see some of the actual data behind their methodology, because you do wonder. Since this was a global list, did they strive to try to make sure there was equal representation across continents? And to our point about women and people of color, do you think they tried to add do you need two people from Starbucks? Do you need Mellody Hobson and Brian Nichols? You know what I mean? Like I'd like to see some of the data behind that.
When we revisit this, we'll make our own methodology and have a list that's totally separate from this.
A lot of drug companies on this list.
Probably more accurate. I'm going to end with this one.
Yeah.
For all of that mediocrity, and by mediocrity, I mean so look, some of these people are inventors. They've done amazing things in their lives. What they've gotten is incredibly, incredibly, powerful and wealthy and all that kind of stuff. But in the last 7 years, mostly what they've given you is mediocrity. Like, you invest in their company. Some of them have gone up. Some of them have gone down. On average, if you invested in all of the companies where these people have executive positions or board seats, you would have gotten average returns.
Well, okay, but if you've done it since their founding, then you'd be a
that's not the list is 2024. Are we doing lifetime achievement awards? These aren't lifetime achievement awards.
That's a good point. Actually, I'd like to see lifetime achievement awards. Go ahead.
It's a different thing. What you've gotten for that is, on average, these people, their realized pay in 2023 was $40 million on average.
Wow.
40 million each is the average. That's the average works. And that means that does not include the fact that Elon Musk got paid like 40 billion.
It doesn't include their holdings either.
It doesn't include their holdings. This is just what they got paid and realized pay from options that vested and cashed out, or cash they got from the companies where they're on the board or they're an executive.
And this is only publicly available data.
Only publicly available data.
Yeah.
This isn't like their holdings in like Maui properties or whatever. The highest on this group was $942 million paid to Brian Chesky.
Is that right? Of Airbnb?
Of Airbnb.
This last year made almost $1 billion.
In 2020.
Is that right?
That's what the numbers is. Yeah.
Well, the company that most of my friends and family now, when traveling, are like, I hear about all these stories about people putting cameras in their Airbnbs and all these weird. So I think I feel more comfortable at hotels now. I'm gonna.
Yeah.
That guy made $1 billion.
That company, that guy paid him.
Where there are cities across the globe, including my own city, Portland, places like New York, Barcelona, who are so angry at Airbnb that they create laws to prevent all these.
That company.
The abuse of short-term rentals and. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. That's the one.
Got it.
That's the list here, right? Like that's
wow. I like this list. See, this is an opportunity for us. We love lists like this because it kind of reminds us of like the inanity and stupidity of sports radio, right? Where you just get like a list of things and you get to argue about it. So to Fortune magazine's credit, as much as I think a lot of your choices are stupid, thank you, because it's fun. I like arguing about lists like this. It's fun.
Not only do I like arguing about it, I like the point of it to me that is not what Fortune, I think, set out to do by setting up this list. And there's like a million of these kinds of lists, like this isn't the only kind of list. Fortune does 10 of them, right? Like,
except a lot of them don't start with this line, though, when they write their list, which is how do you measure power exactly? So they really think they're onto something at Fortune. They think they're measuring power, precisely measuring power.
Analytics, you can actually measure power on a given board. But that notwithstanding, what I like about this list, the unintended consequence of this list, is the fact that we spend so much time researching and we don't know a lot of the people on this list.
Well, maybe that suggests that we're not good at what we do.
Or maybe that suggests that if we're experts and we don't know a bunch of the people on this list, that these are the people... Like I said, there are 4 people who are just on the Microsoft board alone, and 5 when you consider the founder is on this list too.
Yeah.
Which, like, when you consider actually how consolidated the list is, like the outliers here,
tech and cars and drugs,
the outliers are like Elon Musk, right? Like who is not sitting on other boards, who's feuding with half the other people on this list because he hates them, but he has a tremendous amount of money himself. But you have people on this list who are all part of industry associations. They're all part of the Business Roundtable, the Foreign Council, or the Council on Foreign Relations, or the CEO Council, or you have people who are like part of lobbying groups. They all use similar lobbyists. They sit on nonprofits together. They're all like at the Met Gala and like
and Matt, you have the new CEO of a company that just emerged from bankruptcy called Red Lobster.
Yeah, and Red Lobster guy, right?
Red Lobster, a restaurant that nobody talks about and nobody wants to go to.
I'm just saying the point here is when you actually have to compile this list, to Fortune's credit, it forces you to look at how intertwined the most powerful people are. And to bring it back to sort of like the beginning of the show when you're talking about like rage against
when was the beginning class. Of the show? Was it yesterday? Yeah, go ahead.
I think 3 days ago. I've been sleeping through most of it. The rage against a protected class. This is a list that shows you in some ways why there's that rage, because these people know each other and make the decisions for all of us, whether or not we ask them to, and they're not elected, right?
Yeah.
If you this is like this is like the central problem. Right?
Yeah. Play us out of here. Come on.
That's our 7-hour show.
Yeah. Well, look, it should have been half the size, but this story of the Brian Thompson getting murdered at United Healthcare, it does sort of beg a little bit of our attention. I mean, we don't normally cover stories like that, so
that doesn't. There are a lot of murder stories we do skip. That's true. Yeah. That's Hazelnut Rawlis. I'm your analyst, Matt Miscardi. We are exhausted. Free float. It's time for us to go. We'll probably be back on Friday.
Probably. Where are you going?
I'm going away.
I didn't even mention that they found Monopoly money in the killer's bag. They found Monopoly money.
No, that was just in case. He needed to buy Baltic Avenue.
Speaking of oligarchy,
That's all we got. Come back for more next time. Until then, goodbye.